Hello, in this demonstration, I'm going to go over some of the basics of jelly printing, jelly plate printing. I've got a 5x7 jelly plate here, and this is called the Perfect Placement Tool, which you can buy online. And what it is as I'm printing, I line my paper up, print, then if I want to do a second color, I know that each color, subsequent color added is always going to line up on that sheet of paper. Now, let's say I don't have one of these. There's another way you can create a printmaking template, or I guess you could call it a registration guide. So the first thing would be to get your whatever size paper you're going to use. This is a 6x9. Trace it. Then put your jelly plate down where you want it to line up on this sheet of paper. Trace that. Okay. Now I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. Then what I did was I put this in a plastic sleeve, and I put tape here so I can clearly see this is where I'm going to line my paper up, and this is where I'm going to put my jelly plate. I put it in the plastic sleeve thinking if any ink or paint gets on here, I can just easily clean that up. So this would be a nice portable, easy to make registration guide. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some prints. So the second thing I'm going to do is discuss rolling the paint on the jelly plate. A lot of students kind of struggle with this, and it's something you get a feel for in terms of rolling the paint on, and also I can just feel it with my brayer, and then also by visually looking at the plate. I know if I put too little or too much paint on. I'm going to put what I think is about the right amount on, which that looks to be about a quarter of a teaspoon. And I dip in and I just roll back and forth vertically and then horizontally. And I'm not pushing in very hard at all. And I'm looking for an even distribution of that paint. Now, at some point, you might want to do it uneven or do more pressure. So here, let me see if I can. So if I look at the surface, it looks pretty uniform. I often say like the surface of the ocean on a calm day. Okay, then off to the side, I like to have some paper that I can roll off excess paint. I'm going to start doing this in a book because as I go along, each of these book pages will build up some paint and possibly become collage paper. Okay, so now I'm going to try and line up, starting at the bottom, line up with these where the blue tape is, and also that top edge of the blue tape. And then I'm just rubbing with my hand. Right now, I'm just showing you the basics. I haven't put any patterning on here. Okay, and I pull this off and I've got my first print. Paint looks pretty uniform. Maybe there was some dust that got on the plate. Okay, now I'm going to repeat using a lighter blue. Same process. First paint I used was open, slow drying acrylic. There's times I want more manipulation time, so I'll use that. Now I'm using a regular heavy body acrylic. not slow drying, but I'm moving quickly here. Okay, with this one you can clearly see because it's lighter that my paint distribution is pretty even. Now I'm just going to put this bubble wrap down to create an impression. Okay, and then I'm going to take my previous print and with this template, homemade template here, I should line up those colors. Okay, and there's my second layer. And then I have another, there's more paint on here. And maybe I'll use a book page to pull some of that paint off. I can use my hand. Sometimes I just use the brayer. Okay, to pull up that excess paint. Now, I can keep adding to this if I want. In this case, this is pretty much the same size as my jelly plate, so I don't really need the registration guide. Okay, now I'm going to show you what if you put too much paint on there. So I'm going to purposely put way too much paint. And this might be something good to practice with cheaper acrylic paints till you get the hang of it. Okay, so too much paint. I'm going to just take some of that off, roll some of that off on this roll off paper book page. That looks pretty good right now. And do this again. Okay, ooh, I like that time. Adding a little more, I really like that. And I think I'll go back to this one and just see what happens. Now I'm going to line them up again. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is keeping track of what is the top and the bottom of your print. That's kind of important. I got lucky there, but yeah, it's important when lining this up to remember which was on the top. Okay, I like that. And okay, so now we're at cleaning up, which everybody asks about. How do I take care of this jelly plate? Well, it can actually handle a fair amount of abuse. I could let this dry in here and then utilize that dried paint in a print I do the following time. I could pull off some of this, paint, just cleaning it up that way on my book page. That's a way of cleaning up. And then if I want it cleaner, I would add a little bit of dish soap, warm water, and rinse it off and dry that. Now, if some of this dried paint has been on here a while and is not coming off, I've been told a little bit of mineral oil, um, baby wipes work as well. Okay, so if I want to give it a full clean, I could do that. And then something recent that I heard was it's important when you store it in its original little plastic clamshell case that it came in, that it's been suggested not to put it right on the plastic, but on a piece of paper. Apparently, if it's right on the plastic, sometimes these little air pockets occur, and then you get this sort of, I don't know, bubble impression on your plate, and you don't want that. So this is just something recently I heard from another YouTuber, Gelli plate, print plate artist, Elizabeth St. Hilaire. She said, yeah, put a piece of paper on there, then store it in your little clamshell case. And then obviously this little template that I've made, some paint did get on there. I can just wipe that off, rinse that off. Okay, and that is it for basics with the Gelli plate.